2023 working meeting of the Lincoln County Board of Education will come to order. Welcome to all. We're glad you're with us. And Mr. Grant Chenoweth will not be with us tonight. He had another commitment. Our thought is, treat everyone with kindness, not because they are nice, but because you are. We're pleased to have our new superintendent, Mr. Bruce Smith, with us this evening. We're fortunate to have Mr. Smith, who knows this county, loves this county, and will always live in this county. So like you, he wants the best for this county. Mr. Smith worked in the central office for 22 and a half years and was also a board member for 3.5 years. So he knows both sides of the spectrum. He knows our district, the positives and the negatives. He will work hard as always and will continue to be kind and respectful to all. His number one priority are the kids in Lincoln County. Welcome, Mr. Smith.
Thank you.
Want to say a few words?
I will. Thank you for those kind words. It's a great honor to have been selected to be the superintendent of this county. I consider myself to be a team player, and I have a willingness to adapt as it is necessary. I'm very fair-minded, and I do expect all stakeholders to trust and respect each other. I have an open door policy, so I want all stakeholders to feel that they can approach me for advice and voice any concerns that they might have. I think that along with the 22 and a half years as a district and my other 7 being a teacher at McKinney Elementary, I think with all of that experience, it's going to help me to lead this school district forward. Being a lifelong resident of Lincoln County, along with the knowledge that I've had with this district and the dedication to serving all of our stakeholders, I think us all working together is going to benefit our schools and communities. So I ask that all stakeholders join me in making Lincoln County one of the best school districts in this state. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there a motion to set the meeting agenda?
Make a motion.
Okay, Christine?
Second.
Okay, Marvin? Vote. Gloria?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Marvin?
Yes.
Christine?
Yes.
And yes for me. Okay, we want to thank Mrs. Duncan for hosting us tonight. Happy to be here. And she will now be presenting the Stanford review data that she has gotten ready for us.
All right, well, thank you for joining us. Thank you to everybody who's been able to come in. We had some students that are also going to share some things with us tonight, so I will not take a lot of your time. We have 3 school-sponsored student activities that are available for our students at Stanford Elementary. We have an academic team that competes in region and district competition. We have trophies on display right here in the front of the library. We also have an archery team that our students can participate in. Our archery team has been very successful in the last several years, and especially in the last school year. They qualified for state, national, and world level competitions. They broke 3,000 in team scoring this past season for what we think is the first time in school history, so we're very proud of that, and they did it more than one time. So that's another just moment of celebration for us. As our kiddos participated and competed in archery tournaments, they were often the first place elementary team at the tournaments they participated in. And we had several individual archers who were able to score in the top 10 positions and be recognized as well. So a lot of times after we came back from weekend tournaments, we were able to celebrate with our kids in the gym and share their accomplishments. So we have lots of archery trophies that are on display right here. Some are from the year we just finished, and some are from some of the previous years. So feel free to take a look at those while you're in the building with us. We also have our STLP program. That is our Student Technology Leadership Program. And in his last Monday message in June, Commissioner Glass spoke about the importance of project-based learning. And he mentioned Kentucky's STLP program and how they allow students to use technology to solve real-life problems. So we have a really wonderful STLP program at Stanford, and Mr. Williams and Mr. Cole take care of those kiddos in that program for us, and so we've asked them to come and present. So you all just come right on. And we're the most proud of the students at Stanford Elementary, so I wanted to use this time to display our kids. Do you want me to go ahead and show the picture?
Sure.
Okay.
You can put that down. I'll describe what it is.
And I'll get out
So, those of you that don't know me, I am Mr. Williams. This is my, I think this is my 30th year here in Lincoln County. I've got one in Mercer, so been here a while. Started out at Waynesburg and Kings Mountain back in the day, and then transferred down here. Music teacher by trade, but have a technology background also, certified in that. And we were discussing, I think about 6 or 7 years ago, we got the idea to do the STLP program here. Really with STLP, it's wide open. You can choose various things that you want to do. And we've done everything from newscast to 3D printing to drones. The latest thing we are getting into is laser. The thing I like about STLP, it is real life things that these kids are learning. They're excited to learn. Up until this year, me and Mr. Cole, we co-coach, have never asked for a stipend or anything. We just do it on our own time. We meet before school starts once a week, and just cover various things at that time. There is no set amount of money set aside for STLP, something that you all might want to think about as far as purchasing items for it. Because I know that I would love to see this program in all schools. It's wonderful. We have had the opportunity to go to state, with the exception of COVID year. We have gone just about every year now, Coach.
Yeah.
Made it past regionals and so on. COVID year, we did it virtually, so it wasn't the same. But the board has always been very gracious in helping support us. They've paid our transportation to competition and things like that, so we're very thankful for that. Fluctuates in size. We've had as few as 10 or 12 students a year. To this past year, we were close to 20. Where a lot of kids didn't get to do it COVID year, we tried to pull more in. I will say 20 was a challenge, so we will try to probably drop back down. But for example, I mentioned some of the things we've done. Drones. This was a drone shot. As I said, we meet early in the mornings, and Charlie Coffey right here, she got here early, and I actually had the drone out and was taking a couple pictures, and she actually took that picture with the drone. So just thought it was pretty awesome. So they learn how to do things like that. They learn how to do block coding, which block coding is a type of computer coding. It's a simplified version. Back when I took it years ago, you had to put X's and Y's and numbers. They'll have to learn all that initially. This, you drop blocks, and I'll give you an example of that here in a minute. I've got 2 students who will show that. But wonderful program. Like I said, funding would be wonderful as far as purchasing equipment. I'll be honest, once again, the board has been very generous. Anything I have gone to them and said, hey, I'd like to buy spheros, and you'll see one of those in a minute. They bought me 2 sets. We bought a Glowforge laser, and the kids learn how to make everything from keychains to bracelets to you name it. They sell those, and all the money goes back into the fund. We've got 3 or 4 3D printers. We've made some things. You'll see one of those in a minute. Luckily, me and Mr. Cole, one reason we've got a lot of the stuff we do, we teach STEM Academy, which is coming up next week. And after STEM Academy, a lot of times that stuff, rather than being stored till the next STEM Academy, we just continue to use it throughout the year. So a lot of that stuff, we just keep circulating it through. So that's a big benefit to us by doing that. But yes, I don't have full 20 here tonight. I sent a remind out last week and said, if you can show up, great. If you can't, I totally understand. And I have some ongoing 6th graders here and 1 5th grader. So I'm going to start off. I mentioned a sphero and block coding. I have 2 gentlemen, and the small orb that they're holding is called a sphero. You all want to tell them what you're doing, or you want me to tell them?
Tell your name first.
Yeah, tell them your name.
I'm Captain Hasty.
I'm Colton Asher.
We tell them? Okay. So I put 2 pieces of tape down the floor, and I let them try this before y'all got in here. I'm not trying to cheat you or anything. But, so, this is real life skills, problem solving and so on. So I told Kipton, I gave him a challenge. I said, I want you to take the Sphero from here to there and tell it to turn around and come back. So they have to do time, speed, all those things. So, let me see this just a second. So he has written code telling the Sphero what to do. And he will, don't forget to aim. So that was just a simple, and like I said, problem solving. Another thing that we have done, which one are you going to go next? Okay, so this past year we received another laser. So once again, real life skills. It's not CNC, but this is something these kids can go out and have a lifelong skill with. You want to tell them what those are?
These are our cups that we bought. We used our new laser, which is 100 watt, and we got our designs.
Well, we had the school logo.
We had the school logo, and then we printed names off from people. As you can see, we're not perfect, so we had to do the trial and error a lot with multiple different things. But we always found out how to do it better, and then we got our design that we wanted to do.
And we sold these as a fundraiser, put money back into the program.
Does it engrave? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, so this is a powder coated cup, and it actually is a laser, 100 watt laser, that goes back and forth across and cuts that off, basically burns it off. And one thing, when I was, everything we do in there is safe. If they were to open the lid, it shuts down immediately. So it's very protected. So, but yeah, that's one of the things we do with laser. You want to show them your 3D printing?
So we use a Prusa 3D printer to print these off. We can take a picture, and we can take the picture and we'll put it into Tinkercad or either any website that we have, and we'll print off the picture and it'll print the picture off.
And that's the thing. Looking at it without turning the flashlight off there, you wouldn't even think that's anything to it, but it really adds that dimension to it. And I've got to go over here and hook this drone up, and then I'll be done. Mr. Cole, you want to say anything while I'm...
No, you're doing great, Coach. You're the brains
Thanks,
of this.
Coach.
You're the brains of this program. No, but we really enjoy it. My name's Brent Coe, by the way. Sorry, I guess I need to introduce myself. Me and Mr. Williams, we take turns. He's like the head coach of the STLP. I'm like, I guess, would be the head coach of the archery, and vice versa. We help each other out. We get along. And most of the time, you know, it's like a marriage. We just love doing this with the kids. They have a great time. So, that's about all I got. I don't.
And the enthusiasm. I mean, they beat me to the door in the morning a lot of times. I mean, they're ready to come in. And so the last thing I'll show you, I mentioned drones. I gave 2 fellows a challenge when they came in. This is new software. They weren't even used to this. I told them, I want you to figure out how to get from this pad to that landing pad using the same code that they were using over there a while ago. Okay? So I think you're all connected there, Leah.
All right.
You can go run the kitchen.
All right, so I'm Liam Duncan, and we will, like him, we'll be using block coding. So as he said, we're trying to get the drone from this circle to that circle, and we're going to use this code. Let's see if it works. We ran out of practice rounds and don't know if this one will work or not. So let's
But once again, it's trial and error. I mean, that's,
Is there a light we can turn on, but we can't do this? There you go.
And that was too far.
so So, Liam, now what are you gonna do? We talked about, what are you gonna do?
We're gonna move it, so we have it to fly forward 160 inches. That did not work, so we're gonna try 150.
I'll give you another shot.
That didn't, it went too far, so. Okay, so let's try 150. Let's see if this will work. It should. And that ain't working.
Well, in his defense, the air conditioner probably didn't help him much either, it's blowing it some, so. But that's the kind of stuff we're doing. It is exploding in the state. When we first started going to competitions, what do you think, Coach? There were probably a couple hundred schools,
Yeah, I don't know if there's very many enough.
thousands. I mean, just kids galore. It's held at Rupp Arena every year now, and the kids getting to see the experience. I mean, robotic dogs and the stuff that other schools are doing just blows your mind. But I can't say enough good things about STLP programs. Some schools, I mean, it's part of the built-in curriculum. That's their thing. But, you know, that's what we're doing with it right now and enjoying it, loving it. So thank you all for continuing to support us on that. The wind chimes, yes.
The retired staff, teachers, everyone across our county received one of these. So Mr. Williams, come and tell them about it.
I'll take it up there.
Yeah.
So it has the Patriot burned into the pendulum at the bottom here. You know, as I mentioned on some of that stuff, all the money we use, we put right back into the program. We made wind chimes. We actually saved the school a little bit of money this year too. We did all of our awards. We printed those on the laser, or made those on the laser this year, and they were very, very fancy. I thought it was some of their awards that we had. So, but once again, thank you. Do y'all have any questions that I can? I won't take up too much
I
time.
cannot believe you guys made the wind chimes.
Now,
They are
in their defense, they
amazing.
came in the box like that. We just lasered that part on. We didn't put anything together there. But yes. So.
Thank you
Thank you all.
so much.
I feel like that was worth seeing.
Yes.
I think that was a good use of our time. I do have a few more things to share with you, and I will be as brief as possible. Wanted to let you know that one of the things we enjoy doing at Stanford, of course, is celebrating our students. My husband is a longtime musician, and he says, good musicians borrow, but great musicians steal. So in education, I think that can work for us as well. Our sister school, Stanford Elementary, we saw that they had a really great student job program in process, and so we learned some things from them and implemented Stanley's Positive Pals here as well. We just got it off the ground at the end of the school year last year, and our kids were really excited. They got to apply and interview for jobs within the building, and they were selected for those positions. And then when it was time for them to do their jobs, they were happy and excited to do them, so we were glad about that as well. We've also implemented a program called Stanford Connects, where we are intentionally pairing staff members with students to make sure that students have an adult in the building that they can go to, that they trust, that they built a great relationship with. So if they need something, they know that they have somebody at school that loves me and cares about me. That was something that we were able to get implemented last year, and we hope to continue that as well. We celebrate our students with attendance trophies that are earned by classrooms weekly and also monthly. We have smaller trophies for grade levels that we give out weekly, and then larger trophies that we give out at the end of the month for the kindergarten through second grade winner, overall of those three grades, and then one for third, fourth, and fifth. And then we have one that's about 5 feet tall. That's the overall winner for the whole school. It's taller than most of our kids, so they get excited when that gets to come to their classroom. We have Roars cards, which are part of our PBIS system, where we reinforce positive behavior in the building. And when we catch students doing great things, Roars stands for responsible, orderly, attentive, respectful self-managers. And when any adult in the building catches children exhibiting those characteristics, we sign a little card for them, a copy goes home, a copy goes with the teacher, and then when they have a class set collected, it goes in the school's bin, and we draw out names for prizes every morning. So another way that we celebrate our students is with Wildcat of the Month, and that is also based on great character. Just to give you a brief overview of our data, I know this was supposed to be a data presentation as well. This is just information from our iReady reading. The window on the right shows you where we were when we started the school year last year, and the triangle on the left shows you our most recent test at the end of the year. Obviously, we don't have our state assessment test results back. Those will come in a few more months, but that's a lot of good growth. We were very proud. We cut our folks with the greatest needs, we cut that number by 10%, and was very happy to see that, and lots of growth in reading, getting kids on level. In math, you're gonna see a very similar triangle switch. We had a lot of room to grow at the beginning of the year, and as the year progressed, we had students who made great gains. We were able to cut that red percentage in half, and we're very, very excited about that because that's pushing more students towards grade level. With our overall performance rating, of course, these were the scores from the previous year. We show up as kind of right in the middle with the school in yellow. Our reading and math stayed at about that same spot, but we were very proud of our science, social studies, and combined writing because that pushed us over into that green category. So we hope to see that trend continue and the reading and math follow. Another great thing about Stanford Elementary is our staff. We do have around 470 to 475 students in our K through 5 program projected for next school year. Of course, we're still enrolling, and we still have folks calling today who need to enroll, so we'll see more about what that number actually looks like when we get them on campus. But our staff members, I did some calculations based on the numbers that they had shared, and we currently have over 430 years of experience spread throughout our staff, and we also have new staff members to welcome who will begin to add to that. We are implementing the co-teach model, just like the rest of the schools in Lincoln County are doing, and our teachers have jumped in. They've started their training, and they're starting to build those partnerships between the special education teacher and the homeroom teacher. We have implemented an instructional leadership team where we have a representative from each of our grade level teams, as well as our EC department, our specials team, and our intervention team. So everybody has a seat at that table, and their first task was to help design our master schedule so we could implement the co-teach model, because the master schedule we had before didn't allow that to happen. So everybody got a good look at what it takes to build the master schedule, and I hope, their input was very valuable, and we will continue to tweak it and make it work for our kids. The last thing that we're celebrating with our staff is our partnership with the Southern Regional Education Board. They came in and did an academic review with us, and we have a partnership with them for the upcoming year. They've met with our instructional leadership team already, and we have some plans to continue to move Stanford Elementary in the right direction. So we always end presentations like this with what can the board do for us. So I want you to know that just like tonight, our doors are open at Stanford Elementary. We'd love to see you here. You're welcome here. Our staff would love to see you. Our students would love to see you. So please come and join us as your schedule allows. And just like we've continued in Lincoln County, my request is that you continue to put the best interest of our students first. And I don't think we can fail if we do that. So thank you all for your time, and thanks for coming to see what we're doing here.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Julia.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll move on to discussion items. We're going to start with 4B. Ms. Rigsby asked if we could do that first. Early childhood annual data. Mrs. Amy Rigsby.
We should have told the kids to set their own up so they could do one more test while we were switching out the equipment.
I know, goodness gracious. Yes, apologize.
Oh, you have backup answers?
I do, yes, I do. before you, I have passed out quite a bit of paperwork. And so we're gonna look first and foremost at the Lincoln County Early Childhood Program, the annual report. It's a report that is supposed to be done and presented usually every summer. So, so we wanted to share with you all the fantastic things that happened over the course of the last year. I did invite, some of our coordinators. I feel like it's important that you all know who you see me and I talk a lot now, I realize with this position, but we have amazing people within our program, and these three ladies are amazing. They are an amazing team and they've always got my back. But we have wonderful teachers, we have wonderful assistants, custodians, family liaisons. We have an amazing group. Do you all want to introduce yourselves? I think that everybody probably knows, but you never know.
Okay, I'm Valerie Day, and I'm the Education and School Readiness Coordinator.
My name is Amanda Harrison. I have not met most of you, and I'm the ERC Coordinator, and I'm new to that position.
And I'm Kim Carrier. I am the Disabilities and Mental Health Coordinator.
So they are just an amazing asset to our team. So I felt like it was important that they came. They are probably not happy with me that I've asked them to come and present. Kim told me that she wasn't doing it. She said, "I'm not coming. I'm done." And I was like, "No. I've got to have you. Come on, girl." But yeah, they're amazing. So so I do appreciate you all being here. We're going to launch in with the philosophy. So and basically with this, that we have knowledgeable and nurturing teachers. We work really, really hard with training them and making sure that they are ready to go prior to the school year beginning, that we have developmentally appropriate whole child experiences, environments that meet their needs, parents that understand child growth and development, and if you know anything about Head Start and early Head Start in particularly, they're all about the family, and so being sure that you emphasize that. As well as having strong partnerships among the school, family, and community. So, so we do branch out. We have contractual agreements with many community partnerships, as well as, we have several committees that meet together that also bring to the table a lot of resources and things that we can utilize for our children and families. Our mission statement for early childhood school readiness is that children are ready for school, that families are ready to support their children's learning, and that schools are ready for children. So doing that whole 360 bit to make sure that everyone is prepared as we have these lovely children move into our kindergarten. We don't need to hear from me. You're hearing from me right now, so I'll skip that slide. Our program overview, so in general, we're looking at having a birth to 5-year program where we have Kentucky preschools. We have state kiddos that are in our program, 4-year-olds who are specifically at risk based upon our guidelines for the state, as well as for Head Start, 3 and 4-year-olds who meet our guidelines as well. Oh, and there's a smart agent, Keith. I'm joking. I'm joking, Keith. I'm good, I think, as long as I can get back there. That thing keeps going on. But we also are allowed 10% funded enrollment who are over income guidelines, as well as those with identified disabilities. Early Head Start, which was new to me, because I was familiar with Head Start, but Early Head Start was brand new to me. But we are under not only our federal and state guidelines, but we're also under child care licensing. And we have birth to 3-year-olds who are with that. We have 10% funded enrollment for those who are over income and those identified disabilities. We have 32 slots for Early Head Start, which do fill up very quickly. 183 with Head Start. All right. Program goals. Were you? I didn't know who was going over.
Okay, so we have program goals, child goals, and family engagement goals. The program goal is that the team approach will be to increase by 50% by looking at our data. And then child goals, we want all of our students to be at 90% mastery using the teaching strategies gold. Assessment, ongoing assessment there, and then 50% increase in their math scores and 50% increase in their literacy scores. And then 85% of classrooms or 13 out of 15 classrooms will score an average of 6 across all of those class domains. And all of these we'll talk about in here in a little bit too as well. But and then 100% of the classrooms will score an average of 6 across the Eaters and Eckers. And our attendance is at 85%. Family engagement, 90% of parents will be engaged in program activities to support their child's learning and development. 85% of parents will support their child's attendance, and 75% of families will participate in their child's transitions.
So number of staff for this past year, we had 44 full-time. We had 11 staff enrolled in college classes. We had quite an influx of this, I will say, for our teachers who were, or for all people within our program that were enrolling in classes. The Option 6 and the Option 9 programs have been a blessing because it has allowed for a lot of opportunities for people to go back and to continue their education. And we try our best. That is one great thing with Head Start, that we do have TTA funds, training and technical assistance funds, that we've been able to help as we can with some of those college classes. So we also have 44 staff that conducted PD hours, and that equated to about 1,560 hours. So we have the staff credentials there. If you'll notice, we had 11 with master's degrees. We had 12 with bachelor's, 4 with associates, and 12 with CDA. Head Start just popped up. So we currently have 10 Head Start or preschool Head Start classrooms for early Head Start. And of course, early Head Start, I think everyone here is familiar, but of course that's at the Stanford site. Funded enrollment, state funded preschool, we have 25. Head Start 183, early Head Start 32 slots. And then of course we served 202 preschool Head Start students last year. And then in early Head Start we had 35. We had 20 CARA, 44 Head Start, and then less than 10 early Head Start in terms of our children with disabilities served. And we'll talk a little bit too later on in this presentation about our disabilities categories. For budget codes, and I did not make Miss Edwina come this evening because I thought, well, I can handle this. But but basically, if you look at the funding, so we have our budget codes that are itemized. We had the proposed budget, and then of course the expenditures for this last year. So you can kind of see the breakdown of how exactly those were spent, and of course, human resources or salary fringes, that is where a majority of our budget goes. And then, of course, breaking down the Kentucky preschool budget, and then, of course, preschool IDEA budget here as well. And it's the same premise with budget codes, proposed budget, and expenditures. And I will plug really quickly, because one of the large presentations that I had for you all was the grant. We have the non-competing new grant, and everything has gone through. So I will make that comment. It was definitely a blessing to receive that information while I was sitting at my computer at the beach last week, to know that was approved, and so it had gone through. So thank you for your support with that as well. And then, of course, moving into early Head Start, because of course we have Head Start and early Head Start, different budgets. We have the budget codes here, the proposed budget and expenditures here as well, and you can kind of just go through and look at that. I won't get down the weeds unless you really want me to, but it is there, and everybody has a copy of that. Of course, our policy council is extremely important because this is where we enable our parents to truly have a voice, as well as community members that we have. And so our policy council members are elected by parents of those children that are enrolled, and we have each school represented on the policy council. Early Head Start has 2 parents that represent them as well. We typically meet monthly, and members may serve for a 1-year term or up to 5 years. And we actually just had one that finished her 5th year. So we do have some parents that are super, super devoted, that stay with us and are really a great voice for our students in our program. And so, of course, this just has the 22-23 members here. Amanda Baker was the one that is leaving us, but we had some amazing people. Angela Hensley has been our chairperson this year. She has served. And Miss Gloria has been coming as our board representative. So when we get into the training, that is an additional piece, you know, as far as an extension of the board being present with our policy council to be able to also voice any issues, concerns, or some suggestions. All right. Valerie had to duck out. She had a meeting for her son. So I will continue on with Kentucky All-Stars. So we are a 5-star program. Kentucky All-Stars, as it kind of states here, is a 5-star quality rating and improvement system program for early care and education. And this past year, of course, they did not do a specific on-site visit. We uploaded information, documentation, and of course with Head Start, we have all of this documentation. It is readily available, and it's something that we can collect. And we will remain a 5-star until we are reviewed this year. September 30th, I think, is the date that we have to renew everything. So, and have everything uploaded into the system. So we're currently working on that. That is something that I work really closely with Valerie on. She is our education and school readiness coordinator, and so we worked really diligently to make sure we had everything in there. And of course, it recognizes those programs that have made a commitment to continuous quality improvement and provides programs with additional support, training, technical assistance, and coaching, which we do a lot of.
All right, so the next few slides are gonna be mine. So this is our enrollment. The column in the middle where it says funded enrollment, that is how many we can serve as a Head Start and Early Head Start program. And then on the right, those are the numbers that we actually serve throughout the year. And as you'll see, like for Early Head Start, our funded enrollment is only 32. We served 35. And the reason behind that is because 3 students dropped out throughout the year at different times for differing reasons. They may have moved or just chose to leave the program. So we never exceeded that 32, but we did serve 35. And then for Head Start, our 3 and 4-year-olds, we are funded for 183. We served 177. That was cumulative from the whole year. We were never at 177 at one single point during the year. And then for those state-funded kids, that funded enrollment can kind of vary. It depends on how many we can hold in our classrooms and still reach that 183 preschool students. And this year we served 25 of those, for a total of 237 students that we served. So the demographics of those families that we served, 149 were 2-parent families. And 2-parent families, that can be a little deceiving. 2-parent families, that also counts, like if it's a foster family, if there are 2 foster parents, that counts. Or if it were like a biological father and a stepmother, that is still a 2-parent family. And then for single parents,
Oh, you've got it.
I literally did not touch
Well, they have it.
Yes, we'll go ahead.
Yeah.
We'll let me continue.
Let me get my neighbor.
We will continue. Here, take mine. There you go, dear.
All right. So for those biological, adoptive, or step parents, 214 of our children fit into that category. Grandparents raising those children, we had 11 of those families. Relatives other than grandparents, we had 3 of those families, and then we had 9 students who were in foster care this year. All right, so as Dr. Rigsby touched on earlier, family involvement is huge with Head Start. We work very diligently with our families to try to get them involved as much as we can. 100% of our families participated this year in our program and family partnership agreement. And that's just an agreement that we do every single year. We update that, saying what we're gonna provide as a program. So we provide snacks, lunch, breakfast every single day for students. We provide an environment that is conducive for learning. We have teachers who are qualified to be there to teach those children. And it also tells everything that we expect from the families. So basically that the kids are ready to learn every day. They're getting a good night's sleep. You're working with them at home. And every family signs that agreeing that they will do those things. We are also required to have a minimum of 4 family learning activities every year. This year, 2 of them were done as a program, so everyone was invited to be involved in those. One of those was a pumpkin patch that we had, like a fall festival. So all the kids were able to come here and pick a pumpkin, and then we had some activities inside. That one went exceptionally well. And the other group one that we did was the Christmas parade. So we participated in that. All the kids made some artwork, and we had a float and participated. So that one went really well too. And then there were 2 additional ones that the teachers did individually at their own schools, or individually even as a classroom. So those all went really well. And then 71% of our parents were actively engaged in program activities to support their children's learning and development. And most of that was participation in those family nights. So then moving on to the family impact. For our parent volunteers, we had 96 throughout the school year. Non-parent volunteers, we had 8. Father and male involvement, there were 103 instances where fathers were engaged, and that's honestly quite good. Family supports and education, again, 100% of our families participated in our family needs assessment. That's an assessment that goes out twice a year to our families. The liaisons, myself included, last year, we went out and did those with our families. We did referrals to community resources, so from those needs assessments, if we noticed that a family needed anything, we got them the resources that they need and referred them where they needed to be or gave them the help that they needed. And invites to various classes throughout the community. So we did work in the community to try to get people in as well. And then we provided educational literacy to those families. Again, that was all based on that family needs assessment. And then at the end of the year, we did a parent satisfaction survey. 100% of our early Head Start program was 100% satisfied, and 99% of Head Start said that they were satisfied with the program. Next is going to be health screenings. So I got this divided into early Head Start, and then our state-funded CARA students. So all of our students had health insurance this year. And that's really good too, because I have worked previous years when that was not the case. So it is very positive to see that every student had health insurance this year for early Head Start, and our state funded. For our physicals, 21 of our students got those throughout the year. 145 of our Head Start students did, and 22 of our CARA students did. For the dental exams, for early Head Start, an exam is not required, just a screening. For Head Start, 111 of those students were up to date, and 21 of our CARA students were up to date for their dental exams at the end of the year. And then shot records, at the beginning, 33 of our early Head Start students were up to date. 127 Head Start students were. We did have 3 religious or medical exemptions. And then for CARA, 22, and we had 1 exemption for them.
So, with the disabilities, Head Start requires that we have 10% of our total funded enrollment be children with special needs, and you can see that we've met that. Our CARA students, we had 80%, Head Start, we had 25%, early Head Start, we had 19, for a total of 30%, so we met that requirement.
Okay, and my last section is attendance. So the child goal for our whole program is that the average program daily attendance rate is 85% for the school year. And we've got listed on there preschool and early Head Start. So we did divide that by the 3 and 4-year-olds and then under 3. For preschool and Head Start, the average daily attendance was 84.96. So very, very, very close to our goal. For early Head Start, it was a little bit lower. It was 80.77%, and we have attributed that to the kids are younger. These are our COVID babies. A lot of them have been at home. They haven't been exposed to as many germs, so their attendance was not quite as good.
So, we use Itters and Eckers, those grading skills in our program to assess our learning environments, and that's completed monthly. And, we also have plans in the future for the Berea RTC to come and observe and complete those reading skills. We do it in our program monthly, but they were supposed to come this year and something happened and they weren't able to come, so our plans are for them to come next year as well, so. And then, we also use the class assessment, the classroom assessment scoring system, to ensure that we are providing the highest quality of, education for our kiddos and, for their emotional support, classroom organization, and instructional support. And if you look at the next slide, the blue is our national average and the red is our Lincoln average. So overall, we were at a 5.8. And you know, if we think about back at the beginning, we were talking about our program goals at being at 6. So we were right there kind of overall. Emotional support was our strength. Our weakness was kind of that classroom organization, and then instructional support was also a strength for us. And then we use Creative Curriculum, that's our curriculum, and then we have those supplementary resources, Second Steps, PBIS, Letterland, Handwriting Without Tears, ePlay Pro, Go Noodle, Growing with Mathematics. And then we use the assessment teaching strategies goals. That's what our program goals is going to be measured by here in just a second. We'll talk about it. And then we also use the Dial 4 screener, Ages and Stages, and the Brigance. And so for school readiness, the program is focused on improving the cognitive and early literacy skills of our children through literacy-rich environments, and our school readiness plan is aligned with the state, the Early Head Start Learning Outcomes Framework, and the Early Childhood Standards. And we also, like I said, we use the Brigance. This is something that our district is also using for older kiddos as well. So this goes along with our school district, and that's one of the reasons why we decided to implement it in our program. And here are our early Head Start scores.
So if you look in your packet, it is not necessarily, it's not going to match that.
Yes. Okay.
So yeah, it's not gonna match this. There was an issue with the data, and so when we had originally put that in and this was printed, it was not showing accurately. So Valerie went in and she has changed it, so so I will update your presentation that you have in front of you, and I will make a copy of this so that way you have the accurate piece.
So if you look at our fall data, the green and blue, that indicates our students that are within the normal limits or above. So for the fall, we were at 63%, and then in the spring, we were at 72%. When you combine those two there. And then for preschool, we were at 49%, and then we're at 73%, meeting or exceeding expectations. Am I going too fast? So for our kindergarten readiness, these would just be our 4-year-olds going into kindergarten. You can see our data here. We were at 44% and then 74%, so they made great gains this year. For kiddos going into kindergarten, getting ready for the kindergarten curriculum. And then, so we use our teaching strategies goal, that is our ongoing assessment. And this is our data for our preschoolers. If you'll look at, I know it's kind of difficult to see the different colors there, but, or maybe it's difficult for me to explain the different colors. But we have that darker mid-color blue. That would be our below, and then we have meeting and then exceeding. So most of our kids were either meeting or exceeding those expectations. And then when we break it down into those different domains there, remember our program goal was we wanted them to have a 50% growth, and we want them to be at 90% mastery. So, we met our growth goal there. We were at 69%, meeting those expectations from the fall to the spring, so they did make that growth. And they also met that 90%, so we were at 91%. So that was for social emotional. Again, we met that growth goal and program goal for physical growth. Language growth, we met the growth goal of 50%, but we were shy 3% at 87% mastery on meeting or exceeding the expectation. And then cognitive, we met our goals there. We were at 81% meeting expectation in the spring, and then 91% mastery or meeting. For cognitive, literacy was another one that we met our growth goal, but we didn't meet our meeting or exceeding expectation of 90%. We were 5% away. So there's some areas for us to focus on next year. Math was the same way, 87%, so we were 3% shy, and then 69% meeting those expectations. And then we're gonna do the same thing for early. They met all of their goals for social emotional, physical, language, cognitive, literacy, and math. So they met all of those goals. So again, like I said, the only areas of growth that we've seen that we didn't master, but we were close, but we didn't quite meet it, was those three areas: literacy, math, and reading. And then 100% of our students participated in transitions. We transitioned our early Head Start students by providing them the opportunity to go to their home schools to meet their new preschool teachers and have that kind of a transition activity. So 100% of our students actually participated in that. And then 100% of our 4-year-olds going into kindergarten also participated in those transition activities. Any questions?
Good report.
Yes, quite lengthy, but there's a lot that goes into early childhood. Quite a bit that goes into early childhood.
I'd like to thank all you ladies. Lots of data. We appreciate it.
They are amazing, and like I said, I can't comment enough. You know, I was a principal, and I had an amazing staff at Waynesburg, and I loved them coming in. You know, didn't know what to expect, and they have just been an absolute breath of fresh air. They've just been amazing. So yes, I've had the pleasure of working with amazing people in this district, and they are definitely no exception.
Okay, we'll now go to 4A, and Ms. Rigsby will also do this, early childhood governance, training and orientation.
All right, well, so I have made this as concise as I can. This is a requirement for us with Head Start, and so we have to be sure that we are doing this. So this serves as orientation as well as training, and we wanted to wait until we had our new superintendent so that way I could go ahead and I could get all of that taken care of at one time. So this basically really just talks about, here's the purpose: to define the Lincoln County Board of Education, which is the grantee, and the Policy Council's roles and responsibilities, because it is a shared decision-making piece with our program. And something that I did not include every facet of Policy Council in this, because I incorporated the responsibilities and the roles so that way you could see how everything dovetails. But for those who are not familiar with the program, and most of you probably are familiar, but I will move through it. If there are any questions, please stop me. But who makes decisions for the program? The Board of Education, of course, serves as that governing body and holds that general responsibility. Policy Council does give approval or disapproval of program services, and of course has to be sure that we adhere to regulations and policies. And then the staff, they are the operating body. So we're going to carry out the initiatives that are set forth by the Board of Education and Policy Council that has been presented and approved. Policy council members should remember that, and all of us, that the program staff do have the operating responsibilities because we are implementing the program initiatives. The Board of Ed and the PC, the Policy Council, are policy-making groups who are charged with making decisions that guide and direct the program. And of course, help to set up policy for the program, but are not interfering with the day-to-day. The day-to-day is taken care of by staff, who make decisions about those daily operations, but do not establish per se the policy. So for the Lincoln County Board of Education, in terms of the roles and responsibilities, it does include, but is not limited to, fully participate in the development, planning, and evaluation of the program, have written policies that define the roles and responsibilities of the board, and inform them of management procedures and functions necessary to implement a high-quality program. And then lastly, on this slide, ensuring appropriate internal controls are established and implemented to safeguard those federal funds that I bring information to you periodically in regards to. In the last two pieces to the roles and responsibilities, it's compliance with federal laws and regulations, including Head Start program performance standards. And if you've never seen, this is just a glimpse of just some that we have to adhere to. So, which these are the performance standards. Ms. Hillenbrue, very familiar with those since she worked on the last revision. I think that it was
over 3,000.
Yes, it is. There are so many, and of course, when you're looking at not just that, but you're also looking at licensing, you're looking at local district policies and state regs that we have to adhere to. There's a lot that we have to be sure that we know and we follow through with. So, and that's also, as it says here, is applicable state and local laws and regulations, including those laws defining the nature and operations of the Board of Education. And then, of course, establishing those written procedures for resolving those internal disputes in the event that there was a dispute between something that the Board of Education deemed appropriate or not, and Policy Council. So, some impasse procedures there. And we'll get to that a little bit later. So, the Board of Education must also approve or disapprove of the following. So, procedures for program planning, the program's mission statement, and long and short range goals of the program and the objectives, as well as funding applications and amendments. A lot of these things that you've already seen, that I've already brought to you, especially new board members, just over the last few months, including the administrative services. So prior to the submission of the applications to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. And then, of course, the composition of the Policy Council procedures by which the members are chosen, unless that responsibility is given over to the Policy Council, which it's my understanding that that has been granted and that's given to the Policy Council, which we'll note in the Policy Council's roles and responsibilities. Then, of course, there's procedures describing how the Board of Education and Policy Council will implement shared decision-making. Those internal disputes, so the resolution there, the impasse procedures that have to be put into place, and then, of course, program personnel policies and subsequent changes to those policies, including standards of conduct for program staff, consultants, and volunteers. When we look at Policy Council roles and responsibilities, because there are a lot of similarities when you're looking at these, but just so that way you are aware in the event that you've never had the opportunity to hear this. Must work in partnership with key management staff and the Board of Ed to develop, review, and approve or disapprove the following policies and procedures. So the funding applications again, because I have to present, generally speaking, before I come to you, well, I mean, it's not generally, it is, before I come to you to present anything, I'm presenting it to the Policy Council. So, and they'll give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and if it's a thumbs down, then I won't bring it to you. So, so all of those funding applications for anything that we apply for, have already gotten their stamp of approval prior to moving up, or anything in terms of personnel. If I wanted to implement a new role, whatever it might be, I generally have, or I have already taken it to them. Procedures describing how the Board of Education and Policy Council will implement that shared decision-making. And up to this point, there hasn't been any problems, in terms of, any dispute. So that's great, and it definitely has been a partnership. Procedures for program planning and development of the program's mission statement and short-term, as well as long-range goals, as we covered with the board's responsibility as well. And then, of course, composition of the policy council and procedures by which the members are chosen. There we go. And then, of course, they have a criteria for defining recruitment, selection, and enrollment priorities, budget planning, which you guys have already, if you'll recall, and I'm not going through these obviously, but all of the paperwork that I have given before, we've talked about a lot of these. So in terms of short-term and long-term goals, those things have already been brought before you, so you've already approved them, as well as like the enrollment criteria, the selection criteria that we have to utilize as well. So for all of those papers that I do give, there is rhyme and reason, I promise, but there are those things that you already have at your fingertips that encompass what we're talking about here with board and policy council. The annual self-assessments, which we will be doing every year, and of course we completed this in the fall. So the self-assessment of how we're carrying out the things that the program initiatives, as well as the fiscal piece that goes into that, so that way we can plan and we can make adjustments as needed, as well as any federal monitoring review. We are under an FA1 review this year, so we will have, it's a remote review, but we will have that, so of course you all will be incorporated within that as well, in policy council. Program personnel policies and subsequent changes, of course, that was just mentioned with the board, so that dovetails, as well as decisions to hire or terminate the program director and decisions to hire or terminate any person who works primarily for the program. Policy council members must perform the following functions: serve as a direct link to parent communities, Board of Ed, public and private organizations in the community that they serve. They serve a huge role. And I have to say that our parents that we just had on our policy council did an amazing job. I mean, and they really brought to us some great ideas. They took some things out into the community, and it was a great discussion. And I'm gonna miss them if they don't come, for those that aren't gonna be able to come back. But hopefully we'll have several of those return. Assist parent committees in the event that we have parent committees to ensure that they understand the rights, responsibilities, and opportunities of the program. Assist parent committees in planning and coordinating and organizing those types of activities, whatever it is that they are meeting to specifically discuss and organize. Assist in recruiting volunteer services from parents, community residents, and community partners, as well as helping with any resources that those that are of identified need that comes out of that. And then establishing and maintaining procedures for working with the Board of Ed to resolve any complaints, community complaints about the program, which I hope they're doing. That's been brought to my attention. So in terms of program systems, so we're looking at program planning, and it needs to include that assessment of community strengths, needs, and resources through that community assessment, which we again just completed. I came in at a beautiful time for the non-competing new for our 5-year grant piece. So this had to be completed at the beginning of the year, and we have.
I understand.
Sorry, my technology is just everything's just going haywire. But we just completed that, and so you also have you don't have one, but I can get you one for all the paperwork that I'm referring to. I can actually send you some of this. But the community assessment piece was completed in part of that paperwork. The formulation of the long-range goals, as well as the short-term goals and the financial objectives that are consistent with what we're seeing come down through that community assessment piece, as well as implementing the program. Written plans for implementing services in each of those areas that are listed there. We have education, disabilities, mental health, parent-family community partnerships, program design and management, and transition services, and of course, all written plans for implementing services that are reviewed by staff, policy council, and then revised and updated as necessary. Communication between stakeholders, basically in a nutshell, just in terms of how we're going to communicate and what we are going to communicate to make sure that you are abreast of everything that you need to know about the program. We do have procedures and timelines for program planning, policy guidelines, and other communication from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. And generally speaking, through our HSES portal piece, which is the Head Start Enterprise System, superintendents, as well as the board chair, I know generally are on correspondence with that as well. So should be able to gain that insight directly. Program and financial reports, as well as program plans, policies, procedures, and grant applications. Channels of communication, so we do exchange minutes from the meetings. Ms. Colleen is amazing, and if she doesn't have something, then she'll reach out to me and she will ask for it, and I will scurry along to get it for her. Forums for open discussions between groups, as well as joint committees, and these are as needed. And then, of course, liaisons between the Board of Education and the Policy Council. And as I had mentioned, Ms. Gloria has been gracious enough to be with us and to be a partner serving on that. I know this year, I don't know how long you've been doing it, a few years?
This is my
Third year.
So, yeah.
Documents that are available, so of course the Head Start Performance Standards, that's this lovely piece right here, as well as any other the state child, preschool, child care licensing, USDA, those are other relevant pieces of regulation that we have to adhere to. Policy Council bylaws, board policies and procedures, and I don't need to read through all that. Basically, in a nutshell though, these are the things that have been encompassed within the other pieces that we've already discussed, as well as curriculum, and then of course, our annual program report that we just went over. Record keeping and reporting, of course, this is just super duper important because we have to be sure that that we are keeping our records as appropriate and gaining insight so that way we can report that information and then we can make adjustments as necessary. Of course, in terms of reporting from us, of course, the financial status and the program operations, as well as those official reports from state, federal, and local authorities in the event that there's something that needs to be generated and unique in your hands. And we have those processes in place. Program self-assessment, we just ask that you be a part, and we want to encourage Board of Ed as well as Policy Council to participate in that annual self-assessment. And the information that we will give out, of course, timelines for implementation of that self-assessment process, team members who will be incorporated within that, the tools that we're using for that self-assessment, and any type of self-assessment training. I'm trying to talk. I'm trying to get through this as quickly as possible in the event we have questions. Inform as well, we will inform you of all of those results, just as I have this year. Recruitment selection and enrollment criteria, of course, you do review that and you approve that. That was something that was approved back in the winter, before we submitted our grant. And just examining that enrollment process, making sure that we're meeting those standards and we're meeting the needs of our children and families in the community. Community complaints, this is just where the board and the policy council work together in establishing and maintaining those procedures for working with the program to resolve any type of complaints in the community, which hopefully will never ever happen. But the whole idea is just being sure that we foster a really good relationship with community members and speak to them, ask for input, and develop those procedures for addressing those complaints. And then the internal dispute resolution. This piece here is in the event that, of course, there's any dispute between the governing bodies, so to speak, the Board of Education and the Policy Council. So we would need to set procedures for seeking that outside assistance in the event that there needed to be negotiation, mediation, or arbitration of those disputes that threaten to disrupt the services, because we definitely don't want services disrupted for our children and families. And then, of course, any new board members or Policy Council members being trained of that resolution process. Okay. I'm assuming, is that the last slide? That is the last slide, isn't it? It's not letting me escape out of there. All right. Any questions in regards to this particular piece? All right. Thank you all
you. Thank you, Amy.
This is my second time, my second topic.
Okay, we're going to 4C, school fee list, Leanne Smith.
There it goes. It did not want to come.
Hope y'all aren't disappointed with me. I have no presentations and no drones. I'll do the best I can. Let's see, on, student fees. So in accordance with Red Book and our own policy 09.15, the board has to annually adopt and publish a fee schedule for each school, and the approved fees shall remain in place until modified or removed by the board. So I've presented you with the proposed fees from each school and also a few district-wide fees, and so I'll just be asking for approval of that fee list.
Do we have a process in place if a child cannot afford to pay one of these fees?
We do have a process in place, and actually I've been working with the bookkeeper at the high school, Donna Clark, to make that more publicized so that people are more aware of how that works. Our board policy states that students or families can fill out a form to request a waiver of fees, and it does have to be approved, and you have, certain restrictions in place on that. But that's something we are working on at the high school first, but will trickle down to make the public more aware of that. So yes, we do have that in place. I think we just haven't really maybe gotten the word out about it as much as we could have, but we're correcting that going forward. I've worked with Mr. Chenoweth on that. He's reviewed our policies and kind of advised how we need to do that and change our processes going forward. But yes, we do.
Good.
Any questions? Okay, we'll go on to 4G, agreement with Omnia Partners.
Yes, Omnia Partners is a procurement agency, and what they do is go out and negotiate pricing and contracts with vendors that we might work with. And so it's at no cost to the district, so I'm just proposing that we become a member of Omnia. And like I have said there, it will maximize our purchasing power while ensuring compliance with our model procurement statutes, and just add a little bit more to us, security, in that we're securing the best prices on items that we're purchasing.
Okay, we'll continue with 4E, district membership with KEDC and CKEC.
That's a lot of initials there, I know. I've gotten them talking about this the past week or two. I'll keep getting them confused. Since I've been with the district, we have been a member of KEDC, and I think food service has also been a member of CKEC. So I think what we're looking at now, CKEC has, prior to this year, offered a food service only membership at a very small cost, around $500. Going forward, they are not allowing that. It's more of a district-wide membership, which would put us at like $7,800. However, having CKEC is very beneficial to our food service program, as Kathy can attest. There are specific things that they offer that food service needs to have in place to be in compliance. And so it's probably a good idea for us to go with CKEC and to stay with them even at this much higher cost because of the benefits for our food service department. So we looked at KEDC to see if we needed to maintain membership with them or if we needed to drop them for this year. But we actually have several ongoing grants in the district with KEDC. And there are trainings that staff benefit from. Myself, I attend KEDC finance meetings. So I think instead of just switching course and dropping that KEDC for next year, I'm going to recommend that we go with CKEC and KEDC both for the coming year, and maybe evaluate through the year if there are other options. But I think right now it would probably be a good idea to go with both of them. And I believe that Kathy has offered for food service to pay for half of that CKEC membership. So that's my proposal.
And then possibly the following year, maybe just go with one of them.
We'll see. I think that the CKEC is pretty important for our food service department. I don't think that the services we use from CKEC are offered through KEDC, but we might be able to look into that a little more. And there could be things that come up through the school year that we're utilizing with KEDC that we wanna maintain that membership with them in coming years. I'm just not really sure. We'll just kinda look at it a year
So
at a
we'll
time.
just see, yeah.
Yep.
Another one of our programs is the Exceptional Children's Program is assigned by the state, and they are also assigned to CKEC. Right?
We worked really, really hard to be released from a co-op and join CKEC 2 years ago because of the services that were offered through CKEC were of much higher quality, in my opinion, for our specific program than were being offered by KDC. That's just speaking strictly from the exceptional child standpoint.
They offer so much more for the food service department. That's where we do our menu compliance program. It's through HPS. The CKC is our third-party bid for HPS. And so HPS has a menu compliance program. And so by having the menu compliance program, I get an extra between $2,800 to $3,200 a month on my National School Lunch Reimbursement Program. So I have to be in compliance with my menus. And so that's why.
Absolutely. Any questions? Okay, we'll continue with 4F, bus bids, Leanne, and I don't know, Mr. Prager, is he here?
I've got it.
Okay, you got it.
Yeah, I got it, I can handle this. We had, declared 4 buses as surplus, I don't know if it was last month's meeting or the month before, and we advertised for bids, and we did receive a bid for each of those buses, and I'll be asking, for approval to approve, the bids for bus 071, 0502, 072, and 082 from Froggatt Auto Sales. So the bid for bus 071 was $1,350, 0502 was $1,851, bus 072 was $1,261, and bus 082 was $1,411. Pretty good prices. I don't know that I've seen those high bids. Must be some good buses.
We've used that company before, haven't we?
Yes, Froggatt Auto Sales tends to get most of the buses that we advertise for bid.
Anything for Leanne? Thank you, Ms. Leanne, appreciate it. Yep. Okay, we'll continue with 4G, 08.1132 hardship graduation, Diana Hart. And this is the first reading of board policy 08.1132 hardship graduation.
Yes, so Mr. Gobby and I have been talking about this for the last year. We've just had instances where students were in really rough positions. It might be a sick parent, they may have been sick themselves, just a difficult situation that's unique that we're not used to dealing with. And the high school has been great in working with me to make sure we got those children across the stage to get their diploma. But we want something official, just so we have a procedure in place that if a student, has something rough going on in their life, that they can apply for this and it's all hands on deck, and we make sure that we're doing whatever to meet their needs, which we would do anyway, like I said, but we just wanna make sure that there's a procedure in place to help these kiddos out in that situation.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And you wanna go on to 4H?
Yes.
And this also is the first reading of board policy 09.123, school attendance.
So, part of our attendance policy, which has been here since before I was even part of Team Lincoln, that students are allowed 10 doctor's notes per year. Being a mom myself and having 2 children in braces, sometimes, we try to schedule everything after school, but if they're involved in sports or STLP or anything else, that makes it difficult sometimes to make it all work. So we wanted something that allowed them to go past that 10. So we've tried this past year, but of course, to be enforceable, we need it to be part of the board policy. So the only thing I'm asking is that you add a form that parents could use. So if they reach their 10 doctor's notes, but they need beyond that, they just have to have this form filled out, and that way we can still excuse it. It just asks for a little bit more information, so that we're able to go past that 10, but have something in place to help them if they are ever in that predicament.
The 10 days stay the same.
Yes.
Correct.
Not asking you to change that, just asking you to add this additional form to help if they have to go past the 10.
Thank you, Ms. Diana.
Thank you.
Okay, for migrant staffing, Betty England.
This is just our annual request. For the past probably 6 or 7 years, I've been the only full-time person in the program. And what I do is just saving money. I hire from the substitute list for my tutors, and I also use extra duty staff members. That's during the summer. This is just and during the regular school year, and it's just to meet our service delivery plan. I'm also asking permission to use one of the schools to host our on-site summer school program, which has been the last couple of years at the middle school because they don't have a 21st century site there, and so we kind of take the middle school over and do that. So that's all I'm asking for, is just to be able to continue to hire those part-time people and then use that school during the summer for our summer programming. And then all the costs come out of our migrant education grant. There's no cost to the district for that. Anybody have any questions on that? Thank you all.
Thank you, Betty. Okay, 4J, food services rates, Jeannie Cooper.
Yes, the board approved recommended food service rates in February, and the salary schedule was approved in May. And I entered incorrect rates for some of the years listed there. So I'm just asking the board to approve the rates that were approved in February originally, due to my error. And they're listed there, 0 to 3. They're just a few cents off, but I pulled from the wrong tab. And so I don't know if you all remember that spreadsheet or not, but there's a lot of tabs at the bottom, and I pulled from the wrong tab. And so I'm just asking the board to make those adjustments.
Okay. We'll go on to 4K, UK clinical practice agreement.
This is very routine. We have some students who are completing their clinical experiences in Lincoln County, and so we just need to have a signed MOU with UK for them to complete their clinical experiences.
Any questions? Thank you, Jeannie. Okay, 4L, district representative for ARC and 504 meetings, Claudia Gotti.
In your packet, you should have, a list for 504 chairpersons that the board is to approve and ARC chairpersons that the board is to approve. That's part of our board policy, because those that chair meetings can delegate board funds. So every year the board approves the list of those who can chair those two types of meetings. There is only one difference between those two different lists. On the ARC chairperson list, there are EC lead teachers that do not appear on your 504 list. Any questions? Any questions I can answer about that? Okay.
Okay,
Alright.
we'll go on to 4M, services for students with visual impairments.
We are required to provide services for our students who have visual impairments and or blindness. For the past, I think 10 years, we have contracted with a teacher of the visually impaired out of Somerset and have been pleased with her services for our students. We would like to continue with a personal service contract with this particular teacher for the 23-24 school year.
And that comes from IDEA funds.
Yes, it does.
Okay, 4N, Mine, PCI, PSI, agreement, again, Claudia.
For the past couple of years, we have found ourselves in the position to have to contract for psychological services in terms of evaluations and reevaluations for students' eligibility for special education services. This year, we have been fortunate enough to hire 2 school psych interns in addition to our psychologist. But I want to put a safety net in place in the event that we come down to December 1st. I know preschool's making a push at that time, we're making a push at that time, and with 2 interns, they cannot carry as large of a evaluation caseload as their fully licensed school psychologist. So I would like to propose that we enter into an agreement with Mindsci for Richmond for a minimum of 5 evaluations. And then if we need them for more than that, we have that opportunity. And I've also built that into the idea of budget. I'm not sure that we will need that. We're only obligated for 5 evaluations with them, but in the event that it is needed, it's there and we can use it quickly without coming before the board and having to wait.
Any questions?
Oh, I should have said that Mr. Chenoweth has reviewed
Okay.
that prior to tonight.
Great.
And he's also reviewed the item above that with our contract with our teacher of vision impaired.
And he'll be back with us on the 20th.
Yes.
Thank you, Claudia.
Anytime.
Okay, we will go on into our action items. 5A, early childhood transportation waiver. Miss Amy?
So we are requesting the approval of transportation waiver. This is done annually to use school district buses to transport Head Start children on field trips, for instance, for the 23-24 school year. We, of course, it's an obligation that we obtain this as a requirement to use child restraint in lieu of using those child restraints for transportation, which is a Head Start piece. So I'm looking for approval for that this evening.
That's just a waiver on your safety.
On the safety restraints, yes. And I have filled out, which I think that it was uploaded, but I have the transfer or the transportation waiver request to submit if given approval.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the 2023-2024 early childhood transportation waiver? Christine?
Yeah.
Marvin? Okay, vote. Gloria?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Marvin?
Yep.
Christine?
Yes.
And I vote yes also. Okay, Amy, continue with 5B, early childhood curriculum specialist.
So currently, we have several new staff members, and as a matter of fact, because I went back through our personnel list for this upcoming school year, we have 3 new teachers. We have 1 new early Head Start teacher, and we have 12 instructional assistants that are all new to our program. So we have an influx of needs for support for our new people that are coming on board, as well as some that are relatively new, because we do have, a lot of option 6 people who are in the program who are learning the ropes as they go along, and that's part of the course. So I would like to request, there is a curriculum specialist position that's been approved by the board. It's in a 185-day position. I would like to request that position be increased to 205 days with those extended days. And we do have money in the budget to account for that. So I would like to request that from the board this evening.
Is that one position or do you have 2?
Position.
And I did talk to Christine about this, since she'd been on the program for years and years, and she said it was absolutely necessary.
Yeah, it's
because of all the work.
With the demands that are going on, and of course, you saw from our annual report and all of the things that we are having to adhere to, just program-wise in terms of our goals and our objectives and the things, the data that we're collecting, as well as trying to be sure that our people are top-notch in terms of professional development. This is definitely something that is a necessary piece.
Okay, need a motion to approve increasing the early childhood curriculum specialist from 185 days to 205 days.
Make a motion.
Christine?
Yes.
Okay, Marvin?
Yep.
Vote. Gloria?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Marvin?
Yes.
Christine?
Yes.
And yes for me.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, we'll continue with 5C. Superintendent Smith as signer for bank account. Ms. Leanne?
We need approval to remove Michael Rowe as a signer on all our bank accounts with Farmers Bank, and to approve adding Bruce Smith as a signer on all the bank accounts with Farmers Bank. Myself and Mr. Yaden will remain on there as well, so.
Okay, is there a motion to approve removing Mr. Michael Rowe and adding Mr. Bruce Smith as signer on all bank accounts with Farmers Bank? Okay, Jen?
Second.
Christine? Vote. Gloria?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Marvin?
Yes.
Christine?
Yes.
And yes for me. Okay, 5G, Assistant Superintendent / Director of Academic Services position, Mr. Bruce Smith.
Okay, after being named the superintendent, I recall that the board abolished the chief academic officer. So I asked Ms. Cooper to gather some sample policies of assistant superintendents. And so we looked at those. And so I'm asking the board to create this position tonight as assistant superintendent, and that individual will be the director of all the academic services in the district. And also, you have the salary schedule there, or the job description, and then adding it to the salary schedule with the certified extra service supervision increment of 30%, which was basically the same as the chief academic officer.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the position and job description of Assistant Superintendent / Director of Academic Services and add it to the salary schedule with a certified extra service supervision increment of 30%?
Make a motion.
Okay, Marvin and Jen seconds. Vote. Gloria?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Marvin?
Yes.
Christine?
Yes.
And yes for me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, 5E, pay, application number 4 for LCMS connector.
Yes, just due to us having a gap, having next week off and moving the board meeting up, we need to go ahead and approve this pay app for the connector of $292,936.47. Wow.
9:31.
Did I say it wrong? Y'all got it in front of you. Whatever says in front of you, whatever says in front of you there, that's it.
I will try.
$292,931.41.
Yeah.
You got it.
Okay, is there a motion to approve pay application number 4 in the amount of $292,931.47?
Make a motion.
Okay, Marvin?
Second.
Jen?
Oh, Jen got it.
She had her hand up first.
That's okay.
Vote. Gloria?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Marvin?
Yes.
Christine?
Yes.
And yes for me.
It just say, on there, something about an update, so we do look like everything's on schedule. Fully believe it will be ready for the start of school, no problems,
Okay.
no problem with that.
And so, what Darren was talking about was the Rising Sun change number 2 for the track and field.
Yeah, for this one here is, actually a change order that we're gonna deduct a little bit,
There we go.
so there you go. About it, Marvin.
Are you sure? Oh.
$594.81. It's not a whole lot, but it is a deduction.
I paid $13.20.
There you go.
All right, I need a motion to approve Rising Sun change order number 2 in the amount of minus $594.81 for the track and field update.
Make a motion.
Christine?
Second.
Marvin? Vote. Gloria?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Marvin?
Yep.
Christine?
Yes.
And yes for me. Okay, Darren will continue with, pay application 3 from Rising Sun.
Yes, ma'am.
just
And just an
track and
update,
field.
on Facebook today, I think there were some pictures, Brad put some pictures on there. Starting to get the gravel on the field. If you get a chance, look at those. It's pretty cool. It's a drone shot. Pretty cool to look at. No, we're not ahead of schedule, but we're not behind schedule, so we're right there. We just don't need any crazy weather between now and then, but everything looks good right now. And that pay app is $266,529.45. Is that not right?
No. I have 280.
Okay, no, that's actually, I'm right on this one. That is the pay app for Verizon Sun, and then there's a $14,000 direct purchase order that we need to approve. That's the other $14,000, so we need to, and I'll get to that, yeah.
So
Yeah, we
what is the
separate
amount
those.
then?
$266,529.45, Verizon Sun. And Colleen, I should separate that for you.
46 cents.
Because we had like 280 on
Yeah, that's what you did, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So it has to be a separate action.
Well, they're two separate things.
You got?
Okay, is there a motion to approve Rising Sun pay application number 3 in the amount of $266,000 and $529.45?
Correct.
Make a motion.
Christine? Jen? Vote Gloria?
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
Marvin?
Yes.
Christine?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
And we just have a direct purchase order of $14,097.23. We can go ahead and approve that too. And the reason that's done that way, we were able to do a direct purchase order, so we didn't have to do taxes. We didn't have to pay sales tax on it. $14,097.23. $14,097.23. It just, that was, if you take it, that was you added those together, I think.
Is there another one?
Okay, is there a motion to approve to Caldwell Stone?
Yeah.
Is it $14,000
And
$97.23?
Make a motion.
Okay, Marvin?
Second.
Okay, Christine? Gloria?
Yes.
Vote? Jen?
Yes.
Marvin?
Yes.
Christine?
Yes.
And I vote yes also.
Thank you.
Okay, are there anything else, Darren?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Any public comments?
No.
No. Okay. Anything from anybody? We have been here a while. Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Christine, Jen, vote Gloria,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
Marvin, Christine,
Yes.
and yes for me. Hey, good night, guys. Thank you.